Conservatives across the country are speaking out. The feds are conveniently silent. Rachel Notley is trying hard to pretend like she's doing something for once. And BC is being run by a shadow government of backroom activists. Yes, friends, it's been another wild and crazy week here in the saga of the Trans Mountain Pipeline in the Balkan states of Canada. The BC NDP government has a blockade on any further Alberta oil sands exports. And everyone has something to say about it, that is, except the feds. Former Saskatchewan Premier Brad Wall spit hot fire at the Trudeau Liberals for their silence in the ongoing trade rift between Alberta and BC over the Trans Mountain Pipeline. Wall said Canada is in danger of losing its national cohesion, saying, and I quote, "We have to decide if we are proud or ashamed to have a world-class energy resource. It's paid a lot of bills in this country, transfer payments, and a lot of jobs, because right now it looks like most of the country is ashamed of it." Wall said the federal government sees the oil and gas sector as an ongoing source of shame. Former BC Premier Christy Clark said that her successor, John Horgan's opposition to Kinder Morgan's $7.4 billion project is illegal and unconstitutional, and it's causing all Canadians to lose out. Alberta United Conservative Party leader Jason Kenney, as always, was highly critical of the lack of leadership from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Kenney said Alberta will not soon forget Horgan's actions against us, saying if the BC government is threatening to violate the Constitution, they can't do it without repercussions. And the federal government is doing, well, a lot of nothing to defuse this constitutional crisis between Alberta and its next-door neighbor BC. And the feds don't seem particularly interested in getting any pipeline done, considering they keep adding layer upon layer of regulation to every new energy project in this country. But despite all of these reasonable defenses of Canadian Confederation, the inmates are definitely running the asylum in BC. The NDP are the government over there, and just like the NDP everywhere, the radical anti-development voices are the only ones the BC NDP are listening to. They're even taking private meetings with them, like the reported meeting between BC Environment and Climate Change Minister George Heyman and radical environmentalist Sephora Berman. Just look at this answer Heyman gave to BC Liberal MLA Peter Milabar when he was pressed about why Heyman was meeting with radical environmentalist groups who promised civil disobedience against Trans Mountain at one of the activist planning retreats. Just watch.
Perhaps the member opposite would care to reflect on the actions of the past government that didn't believe it was important to consult with all British Columbians, that believed instead, Honourable Speaker, that it was important to meet quietly in Calgary with proponents of projects just before they received several $100,000 in contributions from Kinder Morgan and their friends.
Heyman says the word Calgary like it's a dirty word, sort of the way Democrats say the word Kremlin. But you know who the BC Environment Minister really sounds like a lot there? Rachel Notley, about a year ago, defending herself in the face of a lot of criticism for hiring that same BC anti-oil activist Sephora Berman to not just sit on, but to be the chair of the Oil Sands Advisory Group panel to advise Alberta on the future of our oil industry. Remember that? We tried really hard to get her fired back then. Notley said at the time that people will disagree, but the way forward is to find common cause, not to develop silos and to develop your own echo chamber, and then to be really surprised when no one agrees with where you are going. Notley said, "I think that the vast majority of Albertans believe in inclusivity. They believe in mutual respect, they believe in civil discourse, and they believe that it's absolutely appropriate to disagree, but to do so in a way that allows you to have an actual thoughtful conversation." Oh, really? Notley said Alberta could have a thoughtful conversation and civil discourse with Sephora Berman. Let's take a look at what that thoughtful discourse and conversation looks like right now, shall we? Berman is willing to land herself back in the old Crowbar Hotel in her ongoing efforts to block Trans Mountain's pipeline. She said if they break ground, then there is no question that hundreds, if not thousands, will stand up to oppose them. Nobody likes conflict. I've been to jail, and it's not a pleasant place, and I'm not looking forward to going back there, but we'll do what it takes. Berman is threatening illegal civil disobedience, not civil discourse the way Rachel Notley promised us, and she's doing it against her enemies, just like she has done in the past. Berman was a leader in the War of the Woods against BC's logging of Clayoquot Sound. Trees were spiked. What that means is iron spikes were driven by activists like Berman into the trunks of trees to both sabotage logging equipment and to endanger and cause loggers to fear for their lives. That was the first time Berman went to jail. It was during the summer of 1993, and I certainly hope it isn't the last, because you know what? Lock her up. No one with any foresight should be shocked about Berman's rhetoric against Trans Mountain, given her long and storied history of civil disobedience. These are Notley's environmentalist chickens coming home to roost. By hiring Berman, Notley gave her all the credibility and legitimacy of the Alberta government. Notley accredited Berman as an expert in oil sands development, and now it's being weaponized against Alberta by our political enemies in British Columbia. And for that, Berman should hang like a yoke around Rachel Notley's neck until 2019. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. I am always on my phone, partly for work, partly because I'm a mom, and partly because, as Justin Trudeau says, it's the current year and everybody is on their phone. But life just got a little bit easier because we have a brand new Rebel Media app. You can find it on the Google Play Store or on the Apple App Store. Download it, give it a whirl, and take the other side of the story with you wherever you go.